Coming up on the Social Grenade podcast with Aaron Sheeks.
The latest project is called aKillion. Honestly, I created it because I needed to solve my own problems. So I do what all entrepreneurs do. I just build it myself. The future of leveraging technology is going to incorporate artificial intelligence. And I think that there is going to be a massive first mover advantage to those that understand the underlying technologies behind artificial intelligence and how to leverage it at volume, at scale. I'm going to develop and build a city, a tiny city, a neighborhood maybe more accurate. And I want to put homeless and disabled vets in them. And I'm going to give them all jobs inside of my company ecosystems doing things that contribute to the greater good of all of the things.
She came back to me 30 minutes later. She goes, okay, I want to show you what I did. And she goes, so I went into Studio and I created this app. I told it what I needed it to do. I took pictures from their actual inventory, put it in here, blah, 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 blah. And it created all the graphics that I need for this. In 30 minutes, she went and solved her own problem by creating her own app. Hey, good morning. We catch Aaron mid-drink of coffee as the Social Grenade podcast. Hang on, I'll do the same too.
Thank you.
Perfect. Aaron is my longtime friend and mentor, whether or not like I've ever officially asked him to. Like when I think of someone who, like, when you ask for advice or you ask for help or you do whatever, and there's always that one person you're like, I know I can always count on this person for this. And it may not always be fair because maybe he doesn't need anything from me, so it's not reciprocal, but I'm always that person when someone else needs it as well. So I think that's the giving back part. So welcome this morning. We're both in Florida. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you for an entirely too nice of an intro. It's just happy to be on this side of the dirt, drinking my coffee, hanging out with my friends. Happy Friday.
Same. So Aaron and I met you the first time face to face, I think, at Women in Automotive.
I think so.
Like I think it was one of the Florida events, and we were there, and I met you face to face, and have been best friends ever since. Because Aaron is a girl dad, so obviously invested in and a solid supporter of Women in Automotive for years, like going back to the teens.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Look, I think it's just a great organization. For me, it's really fun to watch it grow. I remember like helping create the first logo. And then now you guys have turned it into this just like incredibly big, like yearly event that impacts thousands of women in the automotive business and elsewhere, I think now at this point too. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's like an incredible journey to have watched, be a part of. I've done nothing and watched you guys grow into something phenomenal.
No, you've been a sponsor.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, you've been a sponsor and a supporter for years. So that's just as important to have help. A lot of times, I think people think Women in Automotive and men can't be part of it, like the exclusive He-Man Woman Haters Club. You know what I'm saying? And if women only make up 17% of the industry, then that other 83% is men, and we can't facilitate change as a minority group of people. We have to have everybody to facilitate change in the industry. So we appreciate your help all the time. Now, back to my friend Aaron, who likes to sit in his little office and create and solve problems and then create and then learn and create. So tell me, so I've known you obviously since Spearfish and the AutoMiner and then your journey with Pure Cars. And so what are you working on now?
There's always something, isn't there? Yeah. So does my wife accuses me of this always working thing, even when I'm not working problem. So I guess maybe that's just who we are, my friend. But the latest project is called aKillion. And honestly, I created it because I needed to solve my own problems. And I just couldn't find tech or partners that was going to solve my problems for me. So I do what all entrepreneurs do. I just build it myself. And so I think that's how aKillion came to life. And knowing that the future of technology, whether it's in automotive or it's in advertising or it's in just retail, the future of leveraging technology is going to incorporate artificial intelligence.
Yes. It's
going to be based on how we can teach it and train it and incorporate it into our everyday lives to be impactful. And I think that there is going to be a massive first mover advantage to those that understand the underlying technologies behind artificial intelligence and how to leverage it at volume, at scale, a massive first mover advantage. to taking, to getting in front of it now, to getting involved in, fundamental infrastructure pieces that are going to live for the next 20, 30, 40 years inside of the tech stacks of these businesses all across the world. Right now is the time to get your foot in the door, to set that foundation with them. And what we've built at aKillion is a way to, create artificial intelligence agents that are safe and custom prompted, that work for my business, that understand my business, but also keep my business separate and safe from the outside world. And I think that part of it is going to be a massive, massive factor as businesses look to buy artificial intelligence tools versus building them themselves.
Right.
And for the sake of not stealing the microphone the entire morning, I love and live in the build or buy scenario.
Right.
I'm, as an operator, sit in the seat of build or buy scenarios. So I kind of, as you mentioned in the intro, I kind of keep track of all of the things. I'm like, man, I'll bet somebody would buy that, versus trying to experience the pain of building it for themselves. And once I've kind of connected enough of those data points, or I can just see clearly that it's going to be a massive winner, I just go. And aKillion was the last, or is the next. Maybe I doubt it's the last. I doubt it's the last, but it's the current and the next.
My business partner would choke on her own spit if I said, this is the last thing I'm going to do. She'll be like, you're alive.
Yeah, there's no way it's the last, but I think I am a massively emotional, dedicated person to my work. And it is currently taking up the biggest part of my heart and soul, as we're just pouring everything into the project right now, knowing that we have the ability to impact millions of lives. And that's
let's go back to the AutoMiner. Was there any AI built in there? Because I know it's set inside the DMS, scrubbed, pulled data all the time. So there was some sort of automations that were set up in there to do that part of it. So it's not like, oh, I'm new to AI, right? Like the rest of people are like, oh my gosh, jumping on the AI train. What was in the AutoMiner? What was in there that was part of that led you then you did Riley AI, right? So like this isn't like jumping on the AI train. You've been playing with these automations for a long time.
For a really long time. For a really, really long time. I think artificial intelligence has been around for 22 years or 24 years. I mean, Watson won Jeopardy how many years ago now?
Right.
So the technology of automated things has been around a very long time. So I think today's world of AI is like a broad brush smear of anything that was machine learning, or anything that was an automatic cron job scheduled thing. And the great consultants and salespeople of the world have just churched it up into artificial intelligence. But there's a difference between the two. And I think if you've been building things for a long time, like we have, there was a way to automate most of your business long before Gen AI was ever alive.
I remember if this and that. I mean, we had if this then that, like, gosh, years and years ago, right? And then went to Zapier, right? And so that, like, we've had these transition workflows that happen, that this triggers this thing. And but the difference that you're talking about is agentic AI, right?
That's right. So the difference now is we can just move so much faster and so much smarter with so fewer systems if you know how to build them right. I don't want to get on a super technical, nerdy conversation, but if you don't understand how to structure data, you have no shot of living in the new world. Yeah. So if you've lived on the front end of just, selling and supporting and doing those things like that, there's always room for a great salesperson in the business world. But if you're going to build something, you have to, like, beyond any reasonable doubt, understand how data is layered and structured and weaponized, and how to move it in a way that is cost effective and allows to be, impactful in everyday lives. There's a certain kind of skill of failing 1,000,000 times and getting punched in the face 150 times of getting to that level of wisdom. But we did some of that stuff early in the AutoMiner. And I think you mentioned Riley AI. That was really our first agentic AI solution, but we'd been building her for 2 years in the background before we ever brought her out for anyone to play with. And, I think aKillion is the same thing. We started building it 18 months ago, 2 years ago, knowing that there was going to come a day where we had to pivot into this true agentic AI structure. We have to continue to evolve ourselves and evolve our tech stack to stay super current. So as you accused me of being guilty, and I am guilty, I'm always building something. That if I have to build the next thing that's 2 or 3 years out, or I'm going to be stuck in the past while I'm living in my current day to day. So I think we've been building AI for a long time. Riley AI is going to be a massive player in the automotive business, and excited to watch her do her thing. She'll always have like a special part in my heart for, how she came to life and all of those things. And now we're creating.
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
Armies of them. She was one. She's just one agent in my new platform. It's become so much bigger, so much larger to be able to. Now I can create AutoMiners in minutes versus years. I can create agents in seconds versus weeks and months. So it's just, the technology is incredible. I'll land my plane with, it took us 4 days to build the latest project.
Yeah. Well,
it would have taken me 18 months to build it.
I'm telling you, people don't understand how fast it's moving. Like, I have my finger, maybe not on the pulse, but like where, whenever you stub your toe, you feel your heartbeat in your toe. Like, I got my finger right there. Like,
I love that.
A zillion other things that I'm doing, but then I finally, like, after so as soon as ChatGPT rolled out to the public, it was like November 22. I think is what I was. At my first account, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to jump in here and start playing. And I had a friend of mine, Jeff J. Hunter. He's not even in automotive, like he's in the marketing world. And I would always sign up. I would take his copywriting classes, and he had virtual VAs. He had VAs in the Philippines. He had a whole team of VAs in the Philippines. As soon as this rolled out, he got on a plane and flew to the Philippines and sat down with his entire team and said, okay, what does this mean for our business? Let's look at this. What do we do with this? And he was one of the first people to to teach me how to create personas, like how to speak to it, how to get the results out of it that you wanted. And January of 23, he calls me and he goes, okay, here's what I've learned. Do you have an hour or two to set aside? I'm like, absolutely. So Shasta and I were on location doing a BDC training in West Virginia. And it was 9 o'clock. He's in California. So it was like 9 o'clock at night on the East Coast where we were at, on the Eastern time zone we were at. And we're on a Zoom, and he's walking us through this entire thing, right? This is January 23. And so I've been a practicer for a long period of time. And then as different softwares came out, as different platforms rolled out, whether it was Manus or Claude, like it was on the waiting list for Claude as soon as it came out, because I'm like, okay, well, how is this different from this one? How does this thing perform different than this? And there's so many of them. And now there are AI softwares to run AI softwares, right? Like you just go in and go, I want this thing to do this thing. And it's like, and it's done. And I'll tell you this small story. This one to me is, if people are not at least using it, not just ChatGPT like Google. You don't use it like Google. That's just stupid, and it's a waste of the bandwidth that's out there going on. But if you're not exploring the other LLMs that are out there right now and doing anything with it, you're wasting your time, and you will have no understanding of it. And so we hired someone within our organization that goes, okay, here's all of the things I need you to learn, and here's the problems I need you to solve. So figure out which one out of these, whether it's make, whether it's an 8N, whether it, all of these things right here, I need you to figure out which one's going to work for this project I need you to solve, right? And so then we created our little AI club within our business. And so we have a meeting once a week, and we have something new that you have to bring to the table that you thought of and solved for someone. And then, so it's myself and Gunnar and Lacey. And with Social Grenade, we don't have AI in Social Grenade yet. I'll figure that out soon. But we brought on a client that had 3 new brands that we didn't have yet. We had a Porsche, Volvo, and Audi dealer. And we didn't have any of their OEM graphics in there. And Lacey had gotten busy doing some framework in Go High Level and forgot to order those from a graphic designer. And we were going live the next day with his team. And I asked her, I'm like, Lacey, did you get all of the new vehicle graphics loaded into Social Grenade? And she's like, oh, I dropped the ball. She's trying to find a graphic designer that will get this part of it done for her. And then we had already started working in Gemini Suite, or Google Suite, whatever it is. and creating apps in there. We've been just in there, playing around, going, what problem can we solve? How fast can we solve it? She came back to me 30 minutes later. She goes, okay, I want to show you what I did, because some of my graphic designers are in the Philippines. And so at that time of the day, they were not on.
Off. Yeah, they're off.
Yeah, to get this solved. My favorite one is actually down there. She's like a lead for me. Anyway, so she goes, so I went into Studio and I created this app. I told it what I needed it to do. I took pictures from their actual inventory, put it in here, blah, 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 blah. And it created all the graphics that I need for this. It's like, she shows it to me and I'm like, in 30 minutes, she went and solved her own problem by creating her own app to do the thing. And I was like, holy cow. And so we have to start thinking like that. Every time we're working on a new process or something else we need, I'm talking about like these mundane tasks, right? I'm not talking about eliminating jobs, although I think copywriting and graphic design are the first two casualties of war here. I mean, obviously in the minor portions of what LLMs can do, but I think that we have to start thinking about. I mean, Shasta came to me one day and she said, okay, so the way that we normally do reports for our dealers, blah, 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 and I don't like how we're doing them in PowerPoint, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to start pushing that information over to a Google Sheet, blah, blah, blah. It's going to look like this. And I'm like, can we think about this in an AI manner? Can we automate all of this? Can we have AI go grab the copy from Trello, the graphic from Dropbox, throw it in a Google Sheet, put a check mark right here. It's all labeled by the date. Put a check mark right here, send it automatically email it to the dealer. And then we know whether they've signed off on everything, right? And she's like, oh my God, I don't know. And so Gunnar was like, oh, I don't know if that can be done, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you're going to spend the next day trying to figure it out. So figure it out. Can we automate this? He comes back to me, he goes, not only that, he goes, but if they make a check mark in this box right here, like they didn't like something in this graphic, or if they make a comment in the comment box over here, it's going to send us a Slack notification so that the team lead on this can go on there and go, hey, a customer notified us that there's something on this that they didn't like. And then we can go in there and go, oh, that's fantastic. And so thinking about everyday stuff that you're doing, that you're just doing and doing and doing, and go, how can we automate some of this stuff using AI? The workflows are easy, but like agentic AI is like obviously next level, using reasoning, having access to all of the different parts of the thing to go, oh, I think I probably need this API to go get this thing right here. Mm-hmm. So agentic is the reasoning part of it, and workflows are that simple, if this and that.
The workflow part will change the way you build or grow your business.
For sure.
And then if you can get the agentic piece in your product sets, it will reduce your cost of human being costs at scale. And I think at some point it's going to be even bigger than that. But I mean, just right now, I can tell you that at the same time when I had the AutoMiner, at the same size aKillion is right now, I had 9 employees or maybe even 12 employees. Today I have 2. I have 3. And it's because 3 people can do 10 times the work that I could do with 12.
For sure.
And I don't even know if I see a world where I have 12 people, which is the crazy part now. Is, I mean, hundreds of people. I mean, we have 300 employees, hundreds of employees. I've always had hundreds and hundreds of employees. And now I'm looking at what we're building and where we're going and how to support it. Now I've changed our model a little bit. So I'm not direct to consumer anymore. I'm selling things to other businesses that sell my things for me. So the model is different. So I'll take that for what it's worth. I don't need humans to do things that I've traditionally needed humans to do.
And it's a mind shift, right?
It's complete mind shift. And now I run it all because I build this stuff now. I build my own AI that I text message with in the morning. Like it's like the girlfriend I never wanted. And he's like, hey, here's your sit rep this morning. Here's sales. Here's this. Here's ops. Here's whatever. And I go back and forth laying in bed in a text message with my own personal employee that knows everything about every business that I'm associated with. And we just like chit chat about what we have to do today. I'm like, I laughed with Tammy. I'm like, I'm bored. I said, I've never not worked 18, 20 hours a day. I'm getting things done in 3 or 4 hours. And I'm like, what do I do with myself? So,
I'm not there yet, obviously. So,
well, there's plenty to do. But I'm doing different things, right? So I think I'm working on stuff.
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
I always joke that I live 5 moves out. Like I think the next 5 moves, and I typically am planning a year or 2 years in advance. And because the tech's moving so fast, I'm like 6 months from now is where I'm working on 4 months from now, 6 months from now, because we've just pulled everything forward so much faster, and I'm not having to do the work because I have these, all of these AI solutions to just do basic stuff that typically would, even reading is like, I don't know how, like the executive summaries that you can get, like 74-page technical document. Hey, give me a 1-page executive summary that I actually care about on these pieces. And it saves me hours and hours of time. So it's truly changing the way we do things. I am really excited to solve other people's problems with it so they don't have to. So I think you're braver than 99.9% of people that walk this planet. I think we know that. But the fact that you even have a team that's exploring these things, I know that you're leaps and bounds in front of other people. I mean, I talk to business owners every day that they literally can't check their email still. They don't understand AI at all. But their nephew or their kid or their grandson or whatever was on the chat GTP, as they like to call it, in the wrong order. And I'm like, come on. So, I think the fact that you're even doing the work now is going to put you massively ahead of the average and make you an expert, because the general masses
not stay behind. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you hang out with enough of us crazy fast movers, and you won't have to worry about being behind. We're already so far out in front of. But I mean, there's a retail group, like a retail group has trouble in the 90s, 2000s, struggles. They're coming back to market. 300 and something retail locations. They have no idea how to do any of this stuff. But they said, we don't know, and we don't want to know. We want to focus on our business. Help us be able to communicate with our customers, to do all of these things. So they're reaching out to experts like Robin Wilson and like me to say, hey, I have these 3 problems. Can you fix it for me? Mm-hmm. And you're now able to build things that solve their problems as a service or as a business model in minutes that used to take weeks or months or years to do. It's the most exciting time.
I'm going to tell you the fun thing that I did. I have a 3-year-old grandson. My last grandchild is 3 years old, 3.5. And I don't know if you remember, and your kids are little too, but like they get on those book jags, right? They want the same 3 books read over and over and over and over, to the point where you're like, I'm so bored of reading this book every freaking night. They're like, come on, read me the dinosaur book one more time. I'm like, yeah. And so while they were in town over Thanksgiving, I started just making up stories for him, right? Like I made up characters, and they would ride through my neighborhood, and I was like, ugh. And he would go, tell me about Boomer and Doug again. And I'm like, okay. So I did another adventure for Boomer and Doug. And then I was at work one day, and we were having our AI meeting that day. And I'm like, I had to bring something to the table. And so I popped in there, and I was like, created an app that had a regenerative story making. And I put in 4 different sets of characters in there. Boomer and Doug were in there. He had 2 stuffed animals he's had forever. They're Dabo and Guy. One's a stuffed stegosaurus, and the other one is this little blue elephant. Gave him all the descriptions. I put his uncle's 2 dogs, Stella and Ollie, as a set of characters. And then the 4th one was like, he loves his Uncle Brent. So his Uncle B. So his Brody and Uncle B. And so when you go into the app, like you get to pick, who do you want a story about tonight? And so if it's Dabo and Guy, he picks Dabo and Guy, or his dad does. And then there's like 7 or 8 different story themes, like meeting new friends, sharing toys, whatever, right? And then you just hit generate a story, and it generates an 8-page story that you go through page by page. It has images in it and everything. All of the characters stay alike. They all look like Dabo and Guy. They do look exactly like that. And it has memory, so it remembers like what was the last adventure that Boomer and Doug did when they were riding through Hickory Hills. And it's like silly stuff like that, right? That you're like going, I solved my own problem. I hate reading this stupid book. And so now I'm like, I can just get my phone out. We're sitting right there. I'm going to do the thing. Here we go. And that took me probably, I don't know, an hour and a half to create, literally, to create that.
On the couch watching TV.
Yes.
Did it with the laptop. Yeah. And the next thing you know, look at the impact it's going to make. Like the stories he's going to tell about the stories that were made up about Boomer and Doug.
Yeah. And so stuff like that, if you can go like when we talk about solving problems, it's not like I'm solving Einstein's equations, right? I'm solved a little problem that I had with the 3.5-year-old little boy that like loves story time every night. And I'm like, oh, good Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. So how can I make it good for him and good for me?
Yeah, I love it. Goose is the book in my house currently
It's
that I've read. Goose. Yeah, over and over and over. We have the same books all of the time. Now I want to download the story building app.
well, yeah. And the great thing is like it can be literally customized for every child, right? So you go, okay, what give me the 4 different character groups
Yeah.
in here. Is if your child a boy or a girl? What colors is their favorite color? Because then the app will be that color. It's like it's so awesome that like we're probably going to roll it out as like a $5. Here, you can purchase this for $5. Customize. We'll customize. Fill out this Google form right here. That's going to push into the thing, and it's going to be completely with questions.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm curious. So here now we'll get really deep in the weeds on your example. I don't know how. I'm a psychology major. I don't want to be, but I am. So I think about human thought and behavior all the time. I have a process with my kids. Once they hit like 7 or 8, I don't read them stories anymore. They either read stories to me or I make them tell me a story. Mm-hmm. So we've played a game called Tell Me a Story for years. And my 12-year-old now gets the gist. And in my mind, I started this because I wanted them to be able to formulate words and thoughts about telling a cohesive story from start to finish, i.e. a sales pitch, because I would like these girls to run my business someday so I can play golf. So I would like to teach them how to sell things. So I literally am planting these seeds of trying to teach my kids how to be great presenters and great speakers and tell great stories. So I make them come up with their own characters. And now I'm curious, if you have the ability now to create your own stories with AI, and let's say that you're reading these, does it give their ability to tell better stories, to create their own stories, to now they see the framework of how Boomer and Doug get to change between making new friends or making their bed or all of those things. Now they're going to follow is their brains going to follow the 8-page template that you've taught him about stories, about characters? And then he's going to be, my kids read Goose to me, they're 5. They don't know the word. They've memorized the pages.
Yeah.
They've memorized the pages, right? So now they're reading me the story based on how they interpret the pages.
Right.
When he gets to go to tell his own stories, will he automatically insert characters and story timelines? He'll start repeating your stories and the same ones that you've put them in. My kids do it all.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing of it, I mean, either way, right? So he doesn't ever get the same story twice. So like if he wanted to read the same story twice, he couldn't. And I think I could probably put in there, but I just don't, I wanted it to be, because kids get in that rut, right? Read the one about this again, read the one about this again. I don't want that. I want to have something new and fresh every time. So I could have built in there the save this story feature, so they could save it, come back to it. And I was like, no, I don't want to, because he'll get stuck on that again. And his dad will have to read that same stupid story.
Yeah, no, I love it. And the fact that it has like a prescribable template to tell a great story, right? Yeah. I think that's the part. Oh man, I just connected it in my brain. But honestly, that's all we're building with AI is scalable templates that can be applied in a business ecosystem to make a difference or solve a problem at scale. It's just creating templates, creating processes. Most people, some people's brains think like that. Some people's brains don't, I suppose.
Yeah. This is the nerd brain. This is the nerd podcast.
Yeah. Oh, it's never been a better time to be a nerd. If your brain works in workflows, this is your jam today.
And it's funny because so Gunnar, it's funny. So I'm telling you, you don't have to be out here going, I need to find an AI expert, right? Gunnar was,
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
Gunner's my nephew. He's 26, 6'7", probably 320 pounds. This giant that was living in his dad's house still, working 2 nights a week at some old folks home or retirement home, and gaming most of the time, right? Just sitting in front of, and he's smart. He's a smart kid. And I was like, I went to him probably about 7-8 months ago, and I'm like, Gunner, I don't know that you think this is a career goal for you, working 2 days a week. However, if you'd like a career and you'd like to learn AI, I'll be glad to take you on as an intern at first to see where your aptitude is for this. And then maybe turn this into a career for you. And he was like, well, Aunt Robin, I've got this application out with this guy who does appliance repair. And I was just like, anyway, I went on with my life. I was just pissed off at him. And then then I grabbed my 14-year-old grandson. It was summertime and he was sitting at home doing nothing. I'm like, come into the office because I need you to learn how to do blah, 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 blah. And he did it for like one day. And he's like, can I go to my other grandma's house? Because like, she just lets me sit around and watch TV and eat food. And I was like, crap. I just kept looking for people because although I have my fingers in all of it and I know which tool will do what, I don't have the patience to sit. I'm not a details person, right? I'm a creator. And so like, I won't work on the fine things of, okay, now my code isn't working. What do I do if my code isn't working? And there's like an extra space before this, and I will never be that person. And so then Gunnar calls me back and he says, hey, Aunt Robin, is that AI offer still open? Well, his daddy got mad at him because he didn't get that job with the appliance guy. And it was like, you've got like 4 weeks to get something going or you don't live here anymore.
So here comes sashaying back to Aunt Robin.
Yeah. So he's like, can we take a look at this? I'm like, yes. And so I was traveling a lot. So what I would do is I would give him YouTube videos. Here's a YouTube video or 5 that explain this piece of software right here. I need you to understand all of this. And I need you to, I would give him small problems to solve, like use this, whether it was ChatGPT or it was Claude or whatever it was. I would go, I need you to learn how to prompt this, create your own little, so he created a sandbox in there. It said Gunnar Sandbox, and he would like test stuff, whatever in there. And then he was still working at home and he was interning. So it's like, when you have time, do this thing. And so we did that for like a month. And then he would be like, I'm like, where did you get with blah, blah, blah? And he's like, well, I didn't want to bother you because I knew you were traveling, but I need blah, blah, blah. I said, no, bother me because I need you to progress. So whatever. So he lives in Northwest Arkansas, which he's probably about an hour away from me. And he was like, when we finally were like, okay, he gets it. I kept giving him stuff that was harder and harder. And finally, he was just like, he kept like being dismissive. Like, this is just another LLM. Why am I using more than one? You only need one. I'm like, that's not true. They work differently. They're programmed differently. They will give you different results. I promise you. And so once he finally like opened up to learning instead of like, I know all of this stuff, I was like, okay, now that your brain is open and you're open to receive, then we can talk about giving you a job. So I made him move. He lives in my basement now, which is like living room, 2 bedrooms, a bathroom. He has his own little apartment down there because I'm like, I don't think I can manage you remotely. I need you to be on site because things change so fast. I will forget to communicate with you. So he moved into my house and then he works at my office and he has I'm not his boss. He has his own direct reports, which is not me. Mm-hmm. And then just started learning. And then like he's one of those people that wants to tell you how I made it happen. And then I did this and I did this. I'm like, Gunnar, I don't care, man. I just want the baby. I don't want all of the rest of that stuff. Just give me the baby that I asked for. And he's like, but he couldn't stop himself. I'm like, I promise you, I'm not listening to you. Mm-hmm. What tools did you use? Document what you did. Documented means write it down somewhere. That what you did so that you got to this point right here. If you don't document everything, it doesn't exist. And so he's come leaps and bounds. And then he discovered, I wish I knew the tool that he discovered the other day, which was the automation to automate the automations. And he's like, I just told it, this is what I wanted to do. And then it went in, it logged in here, logged in here, logged in here, blah, blah, blah. And I'll have to look and see what it was. But he's like, yeah, I don't have to do anything more. I just use this thing. I'm like, no, that's not okay with me. You need to know the nuts and bolts of it. You don't need another cheat. So I need you to know all of that. But I literally just found somebody who had the minor ability to, first of all, learn and was willing to be curious. So if you can find someone who's willing to learn and be curious about not just like, okay, I solved a problem. Yeah, but could I have solved it in a different way with a different piece of software? Curiosity is the thing that we're looking for right now. You don't have to just be solidly looking for an AI genius out there. Grow your own.
Yeah, I don't think you need an AI. Like, you can't compete with them anyway. So why build big, nasty AI? Like, it's silly. It doesn't make sense to find a way to leverage it in everyday business and everyday lives to solve one problem.
Right.
And then you'll be successful with it.
I agree.
So I love it. I love it. My nephew, or Tammy's nephew, I should say, also working for me, not living in my basement. Although I would put him up in the upstairs mother-in-law suite if he wanted to move. But no intentions of him working on AI whatsoever. I just knew that he was the super smart kid that's always been around. And he used to, code in Minecraft and he's always been a super technical, smart kid. Didn't realize that he knew what he knew. And he's like, oh, Uncle Aaron, I'm really having a hard time with job. School's dumb. And I'm yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, why don't you come try this and let's see what it looks like. Next thing I know, he's like, oh yeah, no, I code in HTML and I understand JavaScript and blah, blah. And I'm like, And you've been like in grandma's house this whole time, and you didn't tell me any of these things. Like you didn't tell me any of these things. So he's if he watches this, he knows I love him. So he's a little shit. Like all 19, 20-year-old kids, boys especially, are all little shits that haven't figured out how to be grown-up men yet. But golly, if he isn't a sponge, and if he isn't just crazy smart, picking it up fast, he's doing the work that 5 people used to do for me. He's 20 years old. And he's like, just crazy how much he can get done just by learning and being curious and like having a baseline of how basic things work. He's able to leverage them in a much faster way. So I'm like, you don't have to do whatever part-time job thing you were doing before. Like, do this. You're going to do this now. And so as long as he's not a little shit, he'll probably be really successful in our framework. These kids have to take over someday, Robin.
They do. And the thing is that if he was in his grandma's house, like, so my nephew Gunnar was like in his dad's house, just doing nothing and nobody's seeing that there was some potential there and grabbing it and taking my hand and going, come here, I need the brains that are locked inside your head because I don't have the bandwidth for all of this right now. So I need your brains in here thinking about this all the time. You need to think like AI all the time. And like, what would he be doing? That's like his 2 jobs he's ever had in his life. One was at a vape shop and one was like watching the monitors to see if the organs were still breathing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, you are not using your brain. Like he was doing crash test dummy, like vehicle collision dummy data records and stuff. Like push the button, car smashes, write the results down. I'm like, you're too smart to be doing that, young man. Like, let's find something else for you to do. But I think there's this really interesting piece, and we'll get off on a tangent here, but I think there will be more jobs in everyday practical hands-on pieces now. Like, we don't have enough electricians or plumbers or drywallers or like anybody that can actually build anything anymore. Like, they don't exist because I have an entire generation of young men sitting in their parents' basement playing Modern Warfare, and they are just useless men on the planet that we have to pull them out of there. It's like a passion project of mine, if you can't tell. Like, give me all of the 20 to 24-year-old smart, capable young men that no one taught how to be a man.
Exactly.
Give them to me. Give them to me. I will build them into men and teach them how to provide and take care of so many people around the planet. Like, give me all of the lost boys. I want them all.
Yeah.
And I'll teach them how to be big boys, to go out on their own and build their own table. And so I think that's the next view, right? Coming all the way back to the beginning. What is Aaron working on? Well, Aaron's building cool tech, but Aaron's really, truly trying to build a bigger table. And that's why God put me here. That's my purpose on earth. It's not to build a business. It's to build a bigger table. And now I'm looking for, whether it's in my business and with my nephew, or it's, volunteering and some things that I've taken on with the elderly or transitioning business owners or sitting on different boards. Like, my true goal in the next 5 years is I'm going to develop and build a city, a tiny city,
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
A neighborhood maybe more accurate. I want to build a neighborhood of tiny houses, and I want to put homeless and disabled vets in them. And I'm going to give them all jobs inside of my company ecosystems, doing things that contribute to the greater good of all of the things. And I'm going to use my business as a way to impact other people's lives, to build a bigger table so that they can build tables. And if we have to give them a place to live and eat and that's safe and all of those things, then we should be doing that anyways, because they deserve it. Yeah. So if I can make it part of my passion and part of my business, then like, that's what I'm working on. And aKillion will just be the next logo that, like a race car driver, I wear all over myself all the time to build that table. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back for just a second to you being my mentor. So I know that with Social Grenade, I probably need to work on implementing AI. And I didn't in the beginning because I knew that at the time, nobody knew how to prompt AI. And so if I built something in there where people had to know how to prompt, it was just going to be a layer of crap that they would get frustrated with. And so I'm thinking about adding a toggle on, toggle off button. If you want AI, great, here's what it is. But I'm not quite sure what I want it to do. So I've built an automotive viral script writer. in AI right now. So like literally, like you fill in, if you want to talk about a vehicle, great. So put in the make, the model, the blah, 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 the 3 things that you want to talk about for this vehicle. And it will give you scene by scene, how to shoot it, what to say. And I don't know whether that's what I want to throw in there, or if I want to add in like that piece that Lacey just created, where they can take photos of any of the vehicles that they have right there and make posts out of those. I'm just not quite sure like which way to go. There's so many options that sometimes, a buffet is the hardest place to eat, right? Because like there's too many options. Like give me a restaurant that serves 3 things and I'm here for me. And I think about that with salespeople too. Like I don't want to give them, too many options. But I know that we need to add something in there because that's the flavor, and they're gonna go, does it have AI? And I'm gonna go, no, because you guys are simple.
Why? I'm gonna ask stupid questions to reaffirm what you already know. Why does your customer sign up for your service?
Because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to post, and they know that they need to be on social, but they don't know how to use it and what to use it, and that's why they have to have an online presence. They're invisible.
They're invisible. They need an online presence. They need help on what to make, what it should look like, what it should say, when to post it, all of those things, right?
Yes.
So I think if I was to put AI in your business, I would solve their problem and push this button, and our AI is going to tell you when to post and how to post and what the ad copy should say, and we'll create the ad for you. Here's your calendar for the next 7 days or the next 30 days or whatever you want to make it, right? Mm-hmm. And then give them the ability to give feedback, which they have, because like they're going to like the way it looks or feels. They're going to like what it says or doesn't. They're going to know if it kind of resonates with them, if they're, big Jim in Texas or they're like banker Bill in Boston. They're going to care, give them the ability to have and say, but not do the work. And you're solving the biggest problem that they have. So as long as your AI feature that you put in is in line with why your customer signs up for your service, helps them solve the problem that they're signing up for your service for, and gives them an opinion or a feedback loop back to you to be successful, your product will be better, and their opinion of your product will be more valuable because their opinion mattered in the results that they received from it.
Good advice. Good advice. I love it. So I have one more question for you. So tell me about the name aKillion.
Oh, it's such an interesting question that I have not figured out how I'm going to answer officially. So as I am the worst person at naming things, I am the worst. I can build 100 things. I can name none of them. So I'm just sitting and connecting dots. And I'm like, this has to be something that's impactful to Aaron Sheeks. Like if you're going to build this again and it's going to be yours and you're going to do this all over, it has to be something that when I wake up pacing my living room floor at 3:00 in the morning and I look at the logo, it resonates with Aaron Sheeks. I haven't had that privilege before. So I'm connecting things in my life and connecting dots, and I don't ever do anything that's super obvious. There's always like a 2 layers down, something that connects to me, from the logo to the Easter egg I hide in things. Everything is I'm a creative person. So I used to fly into P3 Orion. Orion has been a name and that's been around me for 25 years. And I've just always felt connected with this Orion name since I spent so much time flying P3 Orions. And I'm like, but Orion is like almost too popular, and it's constellation and all of these things, and it's almost too big, and there's other companies and all of these things. And so we actually
competing SEO wise for sure.
I'm going to be competing everywhere, right? So so that can't be the name, but Orion itself is meaningful to Aaron Sheeks. Let's see what we can do with that. So Orion is actually the name of the back end of aKillion these days. Like Riley was for the AutoMiner, Orion is for aKillion. And I'm like, okay, that's a good start. And then I start looking at it. Well, you're building a tech company, you're doing this. And I start doing research. I spent 3 days doing this, Robin. Like I could build a company in 3 days. It took me 3 days to pick the fucking name. So the last 3 letters are Ion, I-O-N.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I actually named the back end of the product first. And then I named the product that I wanted to sell to the customers before I named the company. And I'm like, oh, well, Ion's going to be my product suite. And I got the Ion text features and the Ion automation pieces. And Ion is my AI assistant. Like I text Ion in the morning now. So I'm like, okay, so Orion, last 3 is Ion. I'm like, I don't want to make $1 million that's like, I've done that, Rob. We don't want to make $1 million. I don't want to do $1 billion. Like the $1 billion is the new $1 million. That's not big enough. I want to make aKillion. I want to make a fucking aKillion. And so we literally came out. I'm like, hold on, I like that. ION is at the end of aKillion. And so I named the whole company aKillion because one, everything else is taken online. In case you haven't tried to buy a domain lately, it's hard. And the name Ion and Orion were really powerful to me. So I built Orion as the controller of all of my company systems now. And he lives underneath aKillion because that's how much money we're going to make and impact others around us is by making a freaking aKillion.
I love that. That's a great answer. I didn't say, a lot of times people like name something, they're like, oh, my wife's uncle was something Killian and he passed away. So I wanted to give him honor for blah, blah, blah. I was like, I was expecting some stupid story like that. But I like the story way better.
No, I just think we're going to make aKillion. And in the meantime, we're going to use that to do all of the right things in the right ways. But yeah, no, I wish that there was some better answer. I've named some really dumb things. This one's got to be better than the dumb ones I've done in the past.
You know what's funny is I bought the domain Social Grenade 3 years before we ever even thought about, not even longer than that. It sat in my GoDaddy account for like ever. Like I was just like, oh my God, that's a really cool name. And I don't know what I'm going to use it for. And I probably have 20 others that are sitting in there right now. So it's time to name the app. I was just like, hang on, let me go look and see what I already own. And then I was like,
there you go.
Oh yeah, it's so.
Oh yeah, you're like that one sticks. You're significantly more organized than I am. Like I have no idea what they're going to be called or anything. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. What should we call it?
That's funny. Well, as always, I appreciate you spending time with me this morning, and it's always is just fun. It's like never a chore to hang out with you. I always walk away with something, or $1 million things, or aKillion things that.
Ooh, I like what you did right there. That was nice.
And so with that said, everybody, this has been your Social Grenade podcast, where I bring you the best of the best in the industry, talking about the things that they're super passionate about. And I promise you, when we started today, we had no idea where this conversation was going to go. And it was the most fun I'll probably have all day.
I appreciate you. People, then culture, then numbers. Put them in that order. You'll be successful in anything you do. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend.
Thank you, Aaron. Bye, everybody.